And so why I believe that you have to be sold first is because when you prepare and when you practice, you have to look for reasons why you would do it. And you have to come from a biased opinion somewhat, because you're coming from their view. And when I say their view, I'm talking about you're coming from your prospect's view. You're not coming from your view, like your upside and of why your cost is lower, why your rate and fees are lower. It's not about the cost, the rate, or the fee. That's a misconception that a lot of salespeople have, and because their belief system is wired that way, they have a difficult time in actually providing or selling their services. In this video, I'm going to talk about the absolute root cause of every single sales transaction. Now, I believe that as a salesperson, you visiting this channel, you want to pick up on some tips on how to increase your sales, because you see the outcome, you see the income potential of actually increasing your sales. And so you're going to want to stick around and watch this video the whole way through, because I'm going to give you the exact root cause of every sale. This is where every sale starts. This is where it's birthed. And I believe if you actually implement this concept and you truly understand this ideology, then it could change a lot of things in your life. Because at the end of the day, what we do as salespeople is we try to become the one that's hired by our prospects, right? They're hiring us, essentially. They're hiring us for our goods, for our services, for maybe even our products, if you sell products. And so this is going to apply to any and all salespeople, even if you're just communicating on something like getting a job, right? Because again, we're trying to be employed. And the reason why I want to bring up this concept is because if you don't implement this idea, or if you don't practice this right now, what you're going to find is prospects have doubt in you, or maybe anyone you pitch is not fully confident that you're the right person or your company is the right resource for the results that they need. But if you can implement this one hack, this one simple hack, you could change the course of your conversion rate, of your income level, of your success rate with the company that you're with. And you're not going to find yourself bouncing from shop to shop looking for that greener side, because you're actually going to create the greener side where you currently are. And so anyway, the reason why I want to bring this up is because, I'm thinking of a lot of different topics, in which, by the way, this entire week I've been dropping new content on IG Live, on Facebook, on YouTube. And so if you haven't already, subscribe, follow @Sales Remastered on these channels, and you'll be able to unlock a lot of the video and a lot of the content that is currently there. And it's going to even notify you if you hit the bell of whenever I upload new content. And I believe that's one of the secret hacks to having a successful day is you got to feed your brain first. You got to get yourself in that zone, right? It's kind of like when you go to the gym, or when you get into a specific mode of focus, you have to get your mind frame there. And so yesterday I did a video about mindset and the importance of mindset. And I don't want to sound cliche or anything, but mindset does play a pretty big role with regards to your success level and your focus. And that's actually what I want to talk about in this video, is what kind of mindset do you have to have going into a sale? You see, again, I believe if you don't implement this ideology, or this practice, you're going to do more harm than good. And let me give you an example. So, before I started implementing this process, how I would go into my pitches was I would have that inner voice, right? Because what you're doing whenever we structure a deal, or whenever we kind of practice our pitch or prepare for our pitch to our prospect, what we do is we say it within our head, right? We kind of plan it, map it out, and then we kind of look at different objections that could possibly come up. And if those objections come up, what would be your alternative? How are you going to counteract that objection, right? And that is actually where the start of the sale happens. And if you don't implement this concept, you're going to allow that dialogue, that voice within your head to plant doubt, to plant insecurities. And what happens is when you're coming from an insecure place, it could be felt, right? Have you ever heard somebody, maybe you got kids, or maybe you you've heard your friend, or maybe even you heard yourself, right? Comment below if you agree. You could tell when someone's coming from an insecure place because they're not sure. And why I know that this is true is because I hear it all day long. You know, I used to do it. So if you're doing it right now, don't worry, implement this practice and you'll change the way that your results are happening. And that practice is the very first person who should be sold on the product or the service or the, you know, the results that you're providing is you. Let me explain. So on the flip side, if you've ever heard yourself or somebody else come from a point of insecurity, you could tell. But if you've heard anyone come from a place of confidence, you could tell, right? And so why I believe that you have to be sold first is because when you prepare and when you practice, you have to look for reasons why you would do it. And you have to come from a biased opinion somewhat because you're coming from their view. And when I say their view, I'm talking about you're coming from your prospect's view. You're not coming from your view, like your upside and of why your cost is lower, why your rate and fees are lower. It's not about the cost, the rate, or the fee. That's a misconception that a lot of salespeople have, and because their belief system is wired that way, they have a difficult time in actually providing or selling their services. Now, what I found was true was that whenever I would actually prepare for my pitch and I put myself in that confident state, I'm looking for reasons to buy, because at the root of every actual buying decision is emotion. And so throughout the course of my conversation, the reason why I never pitch, I never talk numbers, I never talk about fees, I never talk about rate too early in the conversation is because I need to understand how it's being viewed from that particular prospect. I need to see it from their eyes. And when I talk about see it from their eyes is I need to listen. You know, one of the most powerful things that a salesperson can do is actually listen, because when you listen, you actually get to extract certain things. You get to extract their reason why, meaning the prospect's intent. Like, what's their intent of getting your product and service? Because your product, your service, your help is simply a vehicle to achieve something, right? And so you might feel like you're selling mortgages, or you might feel like you're selling money, or you might feel like you're selling cell phones, whatever it is you sell. But what it is it's just an extension. It's just a tool for them to achieve a deeper reason why. And so you have to find what their actual motive is and what their intent is, because behind that intent is a specific desired result. And the reason why they have that desired result is because of an emotion. And that emotion typically is tied to fear. It's almost always tied to fear. Only when you're coming at a point from where you don't necessarily need the service are you coming at it from a point of pleasure, right? Because maybe you want to, you know what I mean? Maybe you got ego, and so you want a lower rate, or you want, you know what I mean, a fancier color or whatever, but you don't necessarily need it unless you actually break it down and figure out, okay, well, why do you need it? It's because your fear of your status becoming degraded. And so that could be the reason, right? But still, it's always tied to fear. And so when you expose a specific emotion, then you look at it on the opposite side and say, okay, well, what would be the consequence if you did not obtain this solution? What would be the consequence of you not buying my service right now? And then that becomes leverage. So when you find that leverage, and when you understand that leverage is what actually gives you the confidence to sell your product or sell your service, then that positions you greatly in any pitch or any presentation that you could ever do. Because at the root of every single sale, at the very beginning, where the sale actually starts is with you. So you have to be sold on your product or your service. Meaning, if you're sold on your product or your service, then you are going to find yourself in a position where you're radiating confidence. You are absolutely convinced that your product, your service is the perfect vehicle for them to get what it is they want. Does that make sense? So if you're presenting fees, if you're presenting price, if you're talking about, you know, the close too early without identifying their motive, their intent, their desire, the leverage that you need, you're doing it too early. And that may be the reason why you're spinning your wheels or burning yourself out, or you have clients that ghost you. And you have to stop. You just have to stop it, boo boo. Just do it the right way and you will have more success. And that's exactly what I wish for you today. By the way, if you haven't already, subscribe, click the bell, go follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, check out the content, hit the like buttons, comment, engage, because it really does help me back in return for providing you the same value that's going to help you make a couple extra bucks in any market. And so if you haven't also already, check out my free script, which is at salesremastered.com. Again, you want to use your personal email address because your work email is going to quarantine and bounce me back. And you're going to want it accessible on your cell phone anyway, because at any given time you need an inbound, outbound sales script, or you need the perfect realtor script to get you some, referral business. Hell, you don't even need to be in real estate. You could use this exact same script to open up any prospect, because it's all about emotional intelligence. And you're going to want it on your cell phone, because anytime you want to reference it, it's just easily right there. And so use the email that you get on your cell phone, your primary email address, and I'll send it over to you right away. You can get it at salesremastered.com, link in my bio, link below the notes on this video. I hope you guys have a great day. Hopefully this message really helps impact your results and helps you make a couple extra more sales today. I'll see you guys in the next live. Bye.